For this assignment, I decided to analyse King Solomon's mind in terms of the constructions of masculinity put forward during the late Victorian period in New Imperialist Empire. I will be using Bradley Dean and Laura Chrisman's argument, which both argue that the representations of gentlemen include fighting and killing. However, Dean argues they do this in a barbaric, atavistic and irrational way as the barbarian. And Chrisman argues they do this with moral behaviour in mind and in a rational way and for a just cause. With the rise of social Darwinism and the new way of training young boys to become imperialists through testing their physical capabilities through sport at school, a lot of emphasis was placed upon the strength of the white man. Anxieties stemming from the metropole becoming more feminine created the colonial frontier as an escape where men can measure their masculinity against others. People were also anxious about the capabilities of the British abroad. Henry is described by Quatermain as an ancient Dane and a white Zulu, which creates an affinity between the modern man and the ancient man, and therefore barbaric qualities. Good is also described differently, however. Very neat and very clean-shaven, and he is also described as a royal naval officer, and this is the way that men ought to be. I think this is Quatermain holds this belief because he is from the older generation and feels men should be clean and neat and appropriate. Umbopa here from Kukuwana land is described as different from other natives, and he is given agency and masculinity when he is described as Mr. He is also described as a magnificent looking man, and that he never saw a finer native, and that he has a proud and handsome face. However, we see deep black scars as resembling his barbaric nature. He also replies with, "We are men, thou and I." This creates a connection between the two, the trio and Umbopa. Kukuana warriors are also presented in a positive way in terms of their capabilities and their desirability. They are described as magnificent warriors, and their weapons are described as simple but most effective, which in Bradley Dean's argument is brought up in terms of Cecil Rhodes saying that his taste is for big and simple things. And he also compliments them on their accuracy with their weapons, saying that, yeah, they can throw a long way, which could be a desirable quality in the new imperialist, as barbaric qualities are considered valuable to quash anxieties. Militarism, barbarism, masculinity and imperialism are all linked in the novel. He describes the military system as perfection and that their organisation is magnificent. He also joins the battle. This again creates this affinity between native and European. We see Henry Curtis dressing as a Kukuana. However, he adds a revolver to his dress, along with native weapons, which then again represents this wish for barbaric qualities and killing. He then refers to them as splendid men, which is again contradictory to previous Victorian belief about what a gentleman should be. Quatermain also experiences this barbaric nature where he feels a savage desire to kill and spare not, and then we again see this connection between the native and the European, where he wonders if his face looked like theirs. However racialised his views are, we still can notice a similarity emerging between their thoughts and what they think, how they identify themselves as men. Infidus is described here as gallant, yet Henry is described as more gallant, which means because Henry has embraced the primitive and he has also embraced his own culture, suggests this mixture is stronger than the natives, which helps to perpetuate imperialism and the continuation of it. We also see the affinity between ancient and modern men, where he says he is like his berserker forefathers. The men of the Lost World romances imitate the primal strength that is eroded in the degenerate metropole. This is shown through the idealization of Kukuana warriors and their willingness to die in battle and be replaced by a new generation who will take their place. In conclusion, I find the British trio establish their identity and their masculinity in relation to the other by emulating their so-called primitive and barbaric qualities, which they found useful in combat warfare and therefore the imperial conquest, which is what Dean is arguing for in his essay. I think Henry Curtis represents this the best, however. I also feel Good represents the moral behaviour that Chrisman refers to in her argument. However, this erodes slightly as he becomes more involved with the Kukuana. Imperialism helps to perpetuate the masculinity, as it is this process in which one measures their masculinity against the other. It offers an escape from the ever-growing feminine metropole to the masculine colonial frontier, which tests their physical ability and therefore decreasing anxieties about the capabilities of the British overseas power.